Okay, so in this video demonstration, we're going to add the second coil. So I've got that here. It is larger than the size coil that I just put on. Not a lot. It has to sit out on the outer rim. And I have about, let's see, 1 inch, maybe 1 1.25 inches. Yep, 1.25 inches. I have 1.25 inches in height going onto this. So I cut it to size. Just as a recap, you're going to make sure that you cut the ends of the coil once you flattened it on an angle. You want to score. Add slip, connect. Again, make sure you've got all your tools with you so that you could do this and not miss an opportunity to have the right tool. Okay. You want to score the rim of your small bowl, and of course where it's going to join the new coil. Add it on. Put on slip. Do not forget this part. Do not forget to slip and score. Once again, I'm going to just add a little pressure to get a connection enough so that I could hold it in my hand and do the blending. I do not want to push down on this because I'm going to flatten the base, and you want the base to stay tapered. If for some reason that your base does flatten out a little bit, you can paddle it and bring it back to an angle. And I actually have a little divot here I want to get rid of. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of clay. And fix that. That's right at the seam where the coil is connected to itself. Okay, so see a little gap here. I want to pinch that together. Okay, this is wonderful. I have a lot of height added here, and I haven't even blended yet, so I'm going to get even more. This is probably going to be one of the larger Japanese rice noodle bowls that I've made. I like making the small ones too because they are great for a side rice dish, and maybe even smaller Japanese or even Chinese food that you might have, like dumplings. You could put those in there. Obviously you could put whatever you want in these. We're going to use food safe glazes, and we're going to layer the glazes when we do get to that part. So you're going to see how glazes could interact with each other. Okay, so I've really got my exterior of this bowl messed up. Okay, so I'm going to blend. Using my rib tool. This is a great lesson to become comfortable with using the different tools also in pottery. The rib tools some you'll say, well, you know, that's a little bit too big for what I'm doing here. I could use the wooden angle tool, and that could do a couple of things. It could act as a knife, it could act as a blending tool, and as you can see too, this is very plastic clay, so I'm going to be careful. I'm going to probably, after I add this and blend it, let it sit before I paddle it, because you can paddle too soon, and when my form is getting larger like this, in its soft state, I don't want to paddle and have it be misshapen. So I'm just going to be careful with that. If after you do this, and even after you paddle, you ever see a crack or a gap of some sort, gaps I would put a skinny coil in, but cracks I would go back to the scoring tool, make an X, really make sure there's a balance between too much pressure and not enough pressure. And that's something that you learn in Pottery 1, is how the clay handles and how much you could push clay. Okay, I'm going to keep this upside down. Just as with our pinch pots that we made for the vase and the egg project, I don't want the weight of this to flatten out the base. I want this tapered edge, and it is pretty significant of a taper, and that's what we want. We don't want this base to get large. There's air trapped in this, of course, so I'm just going to actually kind of take an angled look, make sure that it's nice and flat this way, and I could be fussy with the base. And I'm going to let this sit for a little bit. I'm done adding coils. I've only added 2 coils to a pinch pot, and the size I have here, let's measure it. My pretty beat up measuring. Okay, so I have got, I'm going to need my tool for this. Okay, just below 5 inches, I've got 4 3/4 of an inch high. That's what I have here. So it's pretty significant, and it's again, one of my larger ones. We're going to be working within this frame, so you're going to have at least 3 different sizes to look at and for you to decide. You might like the smaller sizes. I'm kind of liking that I'm going to be able to put a whole package of ramen noodles in this one. All right, the next time we meet, I'm going to paddle, and then I'm going to put the notches for the chopsticks.